Okay, so hi everyone. So I'm Dr. Tipton. I'm a boring old teacher, so this isn't about me at all. I'm just here to sort of open up this conversation between you all. So you are all representatives from different networks around the UK, so schools networks working on sustainability and environmental issues. So you're from London, Berkshire and the Midlands. And this past term, you've been representing your networks at a UK level network. So you're obviously leaders in this area. You've chosen, for whatever reason, to sort of take this upon yourself. So I just wanted us to reflect on your roles as young leaders on these issues, so climate, environment, sustainability, why you've taken this on, and how it makes you feel. So I've got some questions, but if there's other things you'd like to say, just chip in. So I'm going to start with Advait to get the ball rolling. Why did you feel you had to take on this role? What has driven you to take a lead on environmental issues?
Well, it's just one simple thing, really. Thanks, Dr. Tipton. It's because the people in power right now aren't taking a lead. The UK government claims to be the standard bearer of environmentalism, but has just invested £1 billion into a gas infrastructure project in Mozambique. Because the people in power aren't taking it seriously, or don't seem to at least, we have to. The climate crisis is no joke. 40,000 people die every year of air pollution in the UK. Climate refugees are already migrating from Bangladesh into India because of flooding. And the worst thing is, it's going to be even worse when we're trying to find a job, raise our families, and live our lives in about 20 years' time. So leaders rule on consensus, and it's our job to force the agenda. We need to change the consensus to focus on sustainability.
Powerful stuff, Advait. I think you're a natural leader. So I'd like to ask, I'd like to ask Elyse. Do you feel alone on this? Do you feel powerless? Do the people around you share your concerns?
I think it's definitely been an uphill battle from my perspective. I founded the Environmental Society at my school, and it took quite a lot of effort to kind of find staff involvement, kind of get support for this, and it kind of was just myself and another student at my school who were kind of the driving factor on this, and we kind of have been throughout. And with that kind of little amount of support, it can kind of feel like a mountain to kind of try and get people involved and try and convince people that this is important. But I think once we started to get going and kind of launched it, we realized that much more students than we realized really care about this issue. And I think there is kind of like a rising consensus amongst like youth that this is a really, really key issue and that we really need to do something about this. And kind of joining these networks and kind of not just on a regional level but on a UK level and hearing all these speakers, it really makes you feel like you're not alone. And there's people who kind of share this drive, share this concern for something that is probably one of, in my opinion, the most important issue of our generation and for generations to come. And I think that I completely agree with Advait in that the people in power aren't doing enough. And that is part of the thing that makes it feel like such an uphill battle, because you somehow end up doubting yourself when you shouldn't, because when you're not getting that support, you're thinking, is this something that I should be passionate about? When clearly it is. But when we've got these support groups and when we're sharing ideas and when we're all talking passionately about these things, I think it's really important to kind of share that support. And I think that's really helpful in this kind of battle.
Well, hats off for getting that momentum in your own school. That's brilliant. And yeah, I mean, I'm so glad you guys, we found a way for you to meet up. Chiara, my question for you, and I think after I've asked you each question, maybe I'll just let you have a chat and see maybe where you want to go with this. Chiara, do you think you're going to carry on working on this sort of thing after school, after you've left school?
Definitely. So I'm going to go to Cambridge next year to do natural sciences, so a nice sciences degree, and I'm definitely going to be part of every environmental thing I can be, because universities also have so far to go, as well as schools. For instance, investments in fossil fuel companies or in general projects which are not eco-friendly. And I think that that's something that can definitely be changed, or else just working on promoting cycling, promoting sustainable living, promoting the environment, and just raising awareness and making people feel that they can do something, that their actions have a meaning, and also probably general environmental volunteering. So for instance, volunteering to plant trees, or just do some gardening, or pick up litter, which still continues being an issue, even though people know it's not an issue, or working on installing more recycling bins, or more compost bins, or just, I definitely will continue working on these issues, because after I leave school, these issues won't stop. Climate change will not suddenly stop being an issue. It's going to continue being an issue for a long time, 20 years, possibly even more, if we can't get the carbon dioxide levels below this threshold. And even then, we can't just forget about it. It's going to be something that's always going to be on everyone's minds. So climate change won't stop, and I won't either.
Great, well done for keeping going. Aadarsh, so just following on from that, thinking even further forward, your generation, do you think you're going to run things differently to my lot and the people before me? How do you think life is going to look in, say 2050?
Well, I certainly hope that things will have changed by then. I think one of the main things is that everyone knows about climate change now, and whereas maybe 10, 15 years ago people were saying, and you had people on TV saying this is a hoax, scientists coming out and saying you shouldn't believe in this, and thankfully everyone basically agrees now that climate change is real and we need to do things, we need to take steps to combat it. And I think one of the most kind of inspiring things is seeing how many young people are involved. We're all here, we're all students, yet we've taken it upon ourselves to give our time to improving the planet. And I definitely think things will change in the next few years, and when our generation comes into power. And I do hope that it will be enough, because unfortunately we've left it too late to sort of fully prevent the damage that has been caused and that will be caused over the next sort of 10-20 years. But that's not to say we can't prevent like massive loss of life, both human life and the extinction of like sort of millions of animals and endangered species that will be completely wiped out. They won't exist anymore. And I think that's, for me, that's something that's really, really humbling and really scary too, that these sort of animals, they literally won't exist in a few years unless we take action. And it's no one's fault, but we all, as sort of humans and as people who have the opportunity to take action, I feel like we have a responsibility to.
Thank you, Aadarsh. Yeah, this is really serious stuff, isn't it? You're all working on. Let's open it up now and just go for it if you want to add something, respond to what someone else has said. Advait, you got your hand up?
Yeah, so Aadarsh, you made some great points, thanks. And I'd like to just add on to that if I could. I think that we will be running things differently because we have stake in the game. The old generations, they won't be there when we're bearing the brunt of the climate crisis, but we will. It's going to be happening in the prime of our lives. So I think the politicians and the electorate are going to be so much more concerned about tackling the issue than we are right now.
Yeah,
Chiara?
sorry.
Sorry, Chiara, do you want to speak and then Elyse?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I agree with Advait. There's just so much left to be done. Like infrastructure to be changed. Like for instance, installing bike lanes everywhere that currently are insufficient. And cycling is going to be one of the most transport of the future. But also not just infrastructure, also changing the economy to circular economy, installing, like getting legislation to prevent fast fashion or planned obsolescence of devices. Just there's so much that to be done, and we're going to be the people who are going to do it, because the government right now isn't doing anything or very limited things, and something more needs to be done, and it'll be us.
Elyse?
Yeah, I think kind of in addition to that, I think our generation has the advantage that I think we already feel a huge amount of kind of camaraderie, or kind of like our mutual concern, our mutual kind of desire for change. And I honestly think that social media and the internet is a huge driving force in that. You know, all you've got to look at is the examples of kind of when a load of kind of fans reserved a load of tickets for a Trump rally and stopped anyone from going to that, and that was purely organized through people on the internet. And I think that that's a huge factor. As I've mentioned before, I think that the education that occurs through social media and through the internet is a really good driving force for good, although there are some misinformation, some people pushing things the wrong way. I do think it kind of unites us. And obviously with these networks, I think that without the internet, without kind of the resources we have now to stay connected, we would have so much less power, because we have power in numbers. We have power as a group of individuals who are passionate about this issue, and as much as we can do on our own, it's kind of the coming together that's really important, and kind of being a group of leaders rather than just leaders on our own.
I think if we final point for Aadarsh, and I think we better wrap up, because I think it was just a little short clip. Go for it, Aadarsh.
Yeah, I just like to sort of echo everything that everyone said, and specifically sort of carrying on from Elise's point. I think it's also so much easier to engage and to sort of help the environment than it was 20 years ago. There are so many more opportunities. There's so much more education, and there are so many more sort of like initiatives that no matter whether you're in primary school, secondary school, at uni, or even sort of working a job, you can join an eco sort of committee in your local area, and you can work in your capacity to help the environment. You don't have to sort of go out of your way and kind of change your whole entire life to support the environment. I mean, it would be amazing if everyone was able to do that and everyone was happy to, but it's not realistic. And I think if everyone works in their own capacity to help the environment, and we have the right people in charge who are aware of the problems and aware of the solutions that are available, we should be looking for a much greener future.
Fantastic. Yeah, really moving. I mean, it's amazing you're all doing this in your spare time as well. You're doing this in your evenings, you know, on top of all your schoolwork, and at the moment with COVID, and you're back at school. So, you know, I feel, you know, it's really moving that you're doing all that. So yeah, I hope we can support you. I will stop